Think America is just highways and high-rises? Beyond the city skylines and beach resorts lies a forgotten world, hidden in the mountains, wrapped in pine and silence. In this video, we're uncovering 10 of the most breathtaking mountain towns to live in. Places where time slows, stories linger, and every sunrise feels like a secret worth keeping. Number 10. Blowing Rock, North Carolina. Perched high on the Blue Ridge Parkway, like a secret whispered into the mountains, with just 1,300 residents and an elevation of 3,517 feet, Blowing Rock is one of those places that doesn't try to impress you. It simply enchants you. Main Street reads like a storybook in motion. Weathered brick storefronts, flower boxes spilling over with color, rocking chairs that seem to remember every season that's passed. Life here moves at the pace of coffee refills and front porch greetings. In winter, the town wraps itself in lights for Winterfest, where fire pits glow and strangers turn into teammates during the annual polar plunge. Just outside the center of town, you'll find the Blowing Rock, the cliff that gave the town its name. It juts out above the Johns River Gorge, a wind-battered ledge framed by jagged stone and open sky. Legend says a gust of wind once carried a heartbroken lover back to his beloved. Even now, visitors toss leaves into the air, watching them float upward. Whether it's science or something softer, standing there, eyes full of blue and breath caught in your chest, you'll understand why people believe. A few minutes down the road, Moses H. Cone Memorial Park stretches across 3,500 acres of quiet. Its old carriage trails wind around two still lakes, through groves of rhododendron and sun-dappled hills. You can walk for hours without crossing a soul, or cross one who greets you like an old friend. And while real estate leans upscale, homes hover around $600,000 to $700,000. Rent is refreshingly modest, about $1,000 for a two-bedroom. Groceries, $300 to $350 a month if you shop local, which you will, because once you've tasted mountain honey or locally baked cinnamon bread, there's no going back. Number 9. Driggs, Idaho. Driggs doesn't wave you down. It nods, quietly. Between 6,145 and 6,229 feet above sea level, this town leans gently against the Wyoming border, while the jagged Tetons cut the sky with reverence. With just over 2,300 residents and a single traffic light, Driggs isn't trying to be a secret. It just doesn't need to shout to be unforgettable. Main Street here doubles as the Teton Scenic Byway. Time slows like it knows it's allowed to. The air smells of sagebrush and snowmelt. In one window, a potter leans over the wheel while fiddle music drifts from the plaza. Around the corner, the century-old soda fountain still serves Huckleberry Fizz, brought back not by tourists, but by locals who miss the taste of childhood. But long before the mountain bikers and fly fishers arrived, this valley was called Pierre's Hole. It was sacred ground, both gathering place and battleground, where native tribes and mountain men crossed paths under vast, unclaimed sky. The Driggs family came in 1888, planted roots, and by 1910, this quiet crossroad had a name and a soul. Nature still leads the cast. To the east, the Tetons rise like a stone cathedral. To the west, the Big Hole Mountains stretch golden through late summer. Up the slope, Grand Targhee Resort offers over 3,000 acres of skiable terrain and snow so deep it rewrites your idea of winter. In Driggs, cat skiing isn't a bucket list item. It's a Saturday plan. Driggs City Center Plaza anchors the town's cultural pulse, with Shakespeare under the stars in summer and snow-carved art in winter. The local Latino community, making up over 30% of the population, brings warmth, flavor, and vibrant tradition to this high country town. From tamale trucks to celebrations like Fiesta Latina, with live music, dancing, and homemade pan dulce that fills the plaza with the scent of home. Number 8. Taos, New Mexico. Taos isn't just a town, it's a vibration. Set nearly 7,000 feet above sea level, where the Sangre de Cristo Mountains rise from the desert like a prayer answered in stone. With just over 6,400 residents, the town moves at a rhythm you don't notice at first. until the noise falls away and you realize it's been calling to you all along. Taos Pueblo, just north of town, has stood for nearly 1,000 years, a living, breathing community built from sun-dried earth and timeless ceremony. It's not a monument, it's home. Spanish colonists arrived in the 1600s, built plazas and parishes, and then faced the resistance that would define this place. The Taos Revolt of 1847 wasn't a side note. It was a heartbeat, still echoing through Bent Street, where the governor's old home remains standing, scarred and sacred. But Taos doesn't live in the past. It absorbs it. History, pain, and awe blending into the present. Everywhere you go, creativity clings to the air. More than 80 galleries line the town's adobe-lined streets. The Harwood Museum pulses with modern and native expression. The Millicent Rogers Museum tells stories in silver and clay. Living in Taos, surprisingly, isn't out of reach. Homes go for $400,000 to $450,000. Rentals hover around $1,000 for a two-bedroom. And groceries, often local, organic, and Chile-infused, cost $300 to $350 a month. You can hike into silence or trek with llamas through alpine passes that feel more spiritual than scenic. You can soak at Ojo Caliente hot springs, where the mineral waters have drawn travelers, wanderers, and healers for centuries. And when the day ends, there's Chile, not seasoning, but inheritance. A green Chile stew here isn't just warm, it's ancestral. Number 7. Truckee, California. Ever dreamed of a place where pine needles hush beneath your boots and the air tastes like alpine morning? Tucked high in the northern Sierra Nevada at 5,800 feet, Truckee is that place. A mountain town that feels both rugged and graceful, where every corner whispers stories and every trail leads to something real. With a population of around 17,000, it strikes that rare balance, wild but never isolated, polished yet proudly imperfect. Long before the trains and timber booms, the Washoe, Maidu, and Paiute peoples moved with the seasons through these forests and meadows. Their footsteps were the first to trace these trails. Then came steel. In 1869, the Transcontinental Railroad thundered through, planting Truckee firmly on the map. Timber mills roared, and saloons filled with soot and stories. Today, the history is etched into the brick facades of Commercial Row, still standing proud after a century of mountain winters. A few miles west, Donner Pass still carries the weight of one of America's most haunting frontier tragedies. In 1846, the Donner Party, stranded by early snow, faced a brutal winter that still echoes through the pines. At Donner Memorial State Park, the trails walk you through silence, shadow, and the resilience it takes to survive. But don't mistake reflection for stillness. Truckee is wide awake. As one of California's officially designated cultural districts, the town has woven art, memory, and community. The 20-mile museum, stretching along the Truckee River Legacy Trail, blends sculpture, storytelling, and outdoor history into an open-air gallery you can walk for hours. Downtown pulses with life. Microbreweries pour small-batch ales. Art studios showcase local brilliance, and live jazz floats from the historic Truckee Hotel. At Moody's Bistro, you might hear a saxophone over steak, and if you're lucky, you'll catch the kind of surprise that once brought Paul McCartney to the stage. Number 6. Leavenworth, Washington. If you've ever dreamed of a hand-painted village nestled beneath snow-capped peaks, Leavenworth will stop you in your tracks. With just over 2,400 residents, this alpine gem sits at the base of Washington's Cascade Mountains, where timbered buildings bloom with flowers in summer and sparkle with lights in winter. At 1,148 feet, it may not tower in elevation, but it feels elevated in spirit. Once known as Icicle Flats, this valley was first shaped by the Yakima, Chinook, and Wenatchee peoples, and later carved into a railroad in Timbertown. But Leavenworth's truest transformation came not from industry, but imagination. In the 1960s, facing decline, the townspeople chose a daring reinvention. and painted their way into a Bavarian dream. Think mural-covered chalets, shuttered windows, pitched roofs, and flower boxes overflowing with color. It wasn't just for show. It was a community writing its own fairy tale and inviting the world in. Today, Levvenworth lives on a festival rhythm. There's the Christmas Lighting Festival, where choirs sing under eaves strung with thousands of lights, and Oktoberfest, where polka bands fill the valley with cheer and steins clink beneath striped tents. Most of the magic centers around Front Street Park, a year-round gathering place that shifts from caroling stage to summer amphitheater. Just a few steps away, the town's quirky Nutcracker Museum holds the largest collection of nutcrackers in the world, a charming, oddball tribute to whimsy itself. Life here isn't cheap, but few places this picturesque are. Homes typically range from $600,000 to $650,000, and a two-bedroom rental will cost you about $1,400 a month. Groceries fall between $400 and $450 monthly. And nature frames every scene. The Wenatchee and Icicle rivers hug the town's edge, perfect for rafting in the warm months or casting a quiet line at sunset. Trails wind into the wildflower meadows and alpine lakes, and in winter, fresh snow turns Leavenworth into a glowing snow globe, ideal for cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, or simply sipping cider while the flakes drift down. Before we move on, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel. Your dream town might be the next one. Number 5. Whitefish, Montana. Ever wonder what it's like to live inside a snow globe that somebody gently shook, then left open to the wild? That's Whitefish. Perched in Montana's far northwest corner, this mountain town of just over 9,000 doesn't feel small, it feels infinite. For over 14,000 years, the Kootenai, Pend Oreille, and Salish peoples moved through this glaciated valley. Modern routes took hold in 1883, and by 1904, the Great Northern Railway brought steam, timber, and frontier agriculture, much of it still standing today. That legacy lives on in Whitefish's historic downtown. Downtown is a painting that breathes, century-old clocks ticking beneath flower-draped lampposts, tucked-away bookstores that feel like personal discoveries, and cafes where a quiet table can easily become your second home. The Railway District, once the pulse of frontier arrivals, is now a blend of art spaces, markets, and local haunts, a softer hum of history still unfolding. Just 4 miles from town, Whitefish Mountain Resort offers winter on a grand scale. 3,000 acres of skiable terrain, night-lit trails, and run like hellfire, where adrenaline meets alpine silence. But it's not just about skiing. When the snow recedes, those same slopes burst into green, wildflower-lined hiking trails, single-track biking, and quiet summer views that belong in dreams. And then there's the wilderness that redefines wild. Glacier National Park, just 30 minutes away, where Going to the Sun Road threads through mist-filled valleys and along cliffs that dare the sky to get closer. Trails like the Highline whisper with wind and watchful eyes, mountain goats, eagles, and the occasional grizzly. Living here means embracing both awe and cost. Median home prices hover around $825,000 to $1 million, and two-bedroom rentals average $1,800 per month. Groceries run about $350 to $400 monthly. For quiet escapes, locals head to Les Maisons State Park, a small pine-wrapped gem on the shores of Whitefish Lake. It's not crowded, it's not loud. It's just peace, the kind that comes with loons calling across water and sunlight dancing on ripples. Number 4. Bend, Oregon. What if your backyard was a volcano, your gym a river, and your daily commute included deer crossings and double rainbows? Welcome to Bend, where the high desert leans into the Cascade Range, and the outdoors isn't a weekend plan, it's a way of life. At 3,600 feet above sea level and growing fast, Bend has transformed from a quiet mill town into one of the West's most magnetic mountain communities. Bold, creative, and a little sunburnt from all that year-round adventure. Here, winter means carving fresh lines down Mount Bachelor's 4,300 acres of powder, And summer means swapping your snowboard for a paddleboard on the Deschutes River, joining the local rite of passage, the lazy sun-soaked float through the heart of town. Spring brings you fly fishing in sparkling creeks. Fall turns the aspens gold and the mountain air crisp. You move here for the seasons. You stay for the rhythm. The wilderness is woven in, from the thundering plunge of Tumalo Falls to the alien beauty of lava fields and the high cliffs of Smith Rock, a magnet for climbers and hikers chasing vertical thrills. But Bend is more than trails and terrain. It's a place where craft breweries outnumber stoplights, and you can grab locally roasted coffee before catching a poetry reading, bike race, or outdoor film under the stars. Bend's community is changing, and changing fast. The influx of new residents has stretched housing prices and stirred questions about who gets to stay. Median homes now hover near $700,000, and rent isn't far behind. Cost of paradise? A bit more than it used to be. But what you get in return is rare. Rivers for thinking, peaks for climbing, and neighbors who don't flinch at snow in May. It's also a place redefining what outdoorsy means. Groups like Latino Outdoors, Vamonos Outside, and Patagonia's LGBTQ+ hiking events are reshaping who gets to belong in wild places, and Bend is learning to listen. Number 3. Telluride, Colorado. Telluride isn't just a mountain town. It's a reverie carved into stone and sky. Tucked at 8,750 feet in a narrow box canyon, surrounded by 14,000-foot peaks that rise like silent guardians, this high alpine hamlet feels less like a destination and more like something remembered from a dream. With just under 2,600 residents, it hums with an intimacy that's hard to find and even harder to leave. Long past its silver mining days, Telluride now pulses with a rare richness, one made of soul, style, and snowfall. Its rhythm lands somewhere between powder and poetry. Snow-dusted painters in cafes, ski guides quoting Rilke mid-ride, and music echoing off canyon walls. Victorian rooftops cradle the snow like old hands holding something precious. Winters are steep in every sense. The legendary run called the Plunge is not for the faint-hearted, but the reward is more than adrenaline. At nearly 12,000 feet, Alpino Vino offers a post-ski refuge unlike any other. Red wine, alpine charcuterie, and chandeliers glowing over snow boots. The town's iconic free gondola glides silently between Telluride and Mountain Village, offering views that feel less like a commute and more like cinema. And then comes summer. The bluegrass begins. Music floats from porches and canyon stages. The Telluride Film Festival lights up the town each September with global premieres under the stars. Hot air balloons rise over the valley like prayers in slow motion. Bridal Veil Falls, Colorado's tallest waterfall, gleams all year, but in winter it turns to crystal, like nature sculpting its own chandelier. Downtown, there are no chain stores, no neon distractions, just hand-built bookshops, leather makers, cafes with mountain-roasted beans, and the new Sheridan Bar, still glowing after 100 snowy seasons. Even the sidewalks feel storied. Yes, it's expensive. Median home prices top $1.8 million. Two-bedroom rents hover around $2,900. And groceries scale the alpine cost of living. But the trade-off is soul deep. You don't just live in Telluride, you live with it. In the rhythm of the mountains, in the music of the streets, in a place where beauty isn't curated, it's lived every day. Number 2. Bosezeman, Montana. What if your town came with its own sunrise ritual? In Bosezeman, Montana, that's Pete's Hill, where locals gather before work to watch light spill across the Gallatin Valley. The sky so wide it feels like a cathedral. Here, the air carries both alpine clarity and the quiet thrill of possibility. Tucked at 4,820 feet and home to just under 60,000 people, Bosezeman blends old bones with modern pulse. It was founded in 1864 by John Bosezeman as a gold rush stop, and its frontier grit still lingers in the stonework of the old Carnegie Library and the copper glow of the Hotel Baxter sign. But the town has long since moved beyond its mining past. Today, downtown bookstores hand out staff notes tucked inside paperbacks. Cafes hum with both fly fishing stories and startup ideas. And the air feels equal parts wild and ambitious. Nature here is never far. Bridger Bowl, just 15 minutes from downtown, delivers powder days with panoramic views. And within a few hours, Yellowstone and Grand Teton stretch out like postcards you can walk into. Geysers, glaciers, grizzlies and all. Trails like the M Climb and Pete's Hill don't require a car or a plan. They're part of life, like groceries and sunsets. Bosezeman also knows how to think big. The world-renowned Museum of the Rockies, affiliated with the Smithsonian, draws global eyes with its dinosaur fossil halls and immersive planetarium. The Gallatin History Museum, set in a restored jailhouse, whispers tougher stories of settlers, suffragists, and survival. Culture lives in layers here, from old barns repurposed into art spaces, to Country Bookshelf, one of Montana's oldest indie bookstores, where handwritten reviews line the shelves. Living here isn't cheap. Median homes hover between $650,000 and $730,000, and a two-bedroom rental averages around $1,750 a month. But many who call Bosezeman home say the price buys something rare: space to breathe and room to become. Longtime locals worry about affordability, but the town's soul, shaped by snow, sunrise, and story, hasn't been priced out. Number 1. Ura, Colorado. Ura isn't just a mountain town. It's a living painting carved into stone and sky. With fewer than 1,000 residents, this tiny gem tucked into a narrow valley at 7,792 feet feels less like a real place and more like a beautiful secret. Ringed by jagged alpine peaks and cascading waterfalls, it wears its nickname, the Switzerland of America, with quiet pride. But don't mistake the postcard for the whole picture. Ura isn't frozen in time. It breathes. Once a rough and ready mining camp carved from silver and gold, Ura's bones are still visible in its Victorian downtown. Brick storefronts glowing under fairy tale snow, the gilded Beaumont Hotel that once welcomed presidents, and the Wright Opera House, where echoes of old voices still linger beneath the rafters. But this is no preserved postcard. Just steps from Main Street, Box Canyon Falls roars through ancient rock, its thunder reminding you this valley wasn't built, it was torn open by time. Up above, the million-dollar highway winds across cliff edges with no guardrails, offering the kind of alpine views that force you to pull over just to catch your breath. Then there's winter, when Ura becomes a vertical dream. The Ura Ice Park, carved into an old mining gorge, is the first man-made ice climbing venue in the world. Frozen waterfalls tower overhead, and climbers from across the globe gather each January for the Ura Ice Festival, scaling walls of blue crystal under skies so clear they seem unreal. Not every thrill here requires crampons. Just outside town, the Ura Hot Springs offer the opposite experience, steam rising gently into the cold mountain air, muscles unwinding under starlight. Hike a little higher and you'll find the amphitheater campground, where sunrise paints the canyon gold and coffee tastes like a miracle. Life here comes with a price. Homes typically range from $600,000 to $680,000, while a two-bedroom rental averages around $2,000, if you can find one. But those who stay will tell you the cost isn't just for housing. It's for the view out your window, for the silence between snowfall, for the kind of stillness that stays with you. We hope you loved exploring with us today. Up next, we got another beautiful destination you won't want to miss. Thanks for watching.